Hello there. Today I'm going to talk about something in our homeschool that I think has made probably the biggest impact on how our days go, and that is morning time. If you are not familiar with morning time, sometimes it's called morning basket, and essentially what it is it's kind of the brainchild of Cindy Rollins, who is a veteran homeschool mom. She raised 8, I think, children and homeschooled them. And she had written about it years ago on a blog, and basically it was kind of refound, I guess, by Pam Barnhill over at Pam Barnhill. I think it's just pambarnhill.com, but I'll link it below. And so Pam has a whole podcast. I'm not a podcast fan, so I don't really listen to those, but I do read her blog and watch her videos. And she has Cindy on. Cindy also has done the Circe Institute has published a book. They've published 2 books by her. Mere Motherhood is one of the best books in the entire world. But she also has the Handbook to Morning Time. It's super thin, just a little kind of handbook of how she did things with her children. And I believe she has her own podcast as well. And Sarah Mackenzie is another good resource. She is the author of Teaching from Rest, A Homeschooler's Guide to Unshakable Peace, and she has a podcast, I think, maybe, and a blog, and I'll link that. I want to say it's like Amongst Lovely Things or something like that. And she is the founder of Read Aloud Revival. So those are 3 resources for morning time to find out more. I'm basically going to share what we do. It is essentially a way to begin your day. Morning time can be at any point of the day. So if some reason morning is not good for you, you can move that and have like afternoon time or afternoon basket. But for us, it's a really great way to start our day together. And basically what that is, by the way, do you love like my just slept in and woke up and have my pajamas on look for videos? It's like when I'm the least prepared is when I do the videos. Anyway, so it's a way to start your day together and kind of center it. And a tagline that a lot of those founders of this movement use is truth, beauty, and goodness. It's a way to put those things that may otherwise kind of slip through the cracks in your homeschool day in a place where they're going to get done, and they're going to be done well, and to add in those things of truth, beauty, and goodness. And so we start our homeschool day every day with a call to worship. Jamie from the Unlikely Homeschool that's what she calls it. She's the only other person I found that is like me and doesn't do the hymns. Well, I think she does hymns at a later part. We don't do the hymn study that a lot of people do in morning time, simply because I'm not a fan of hymns. I know that's like totally sacrilegious to say. But we choose a modern worship song, and it kind of varies. Last year I had the Casting Crowns and Mercy Me worship albums, and we would pick our favorites from that, and it would just kind of vary. So basically the kids are off doing their things, brushing their teeth, finishing up breakfast, whatever. I'll kind of yell out, "School starting in 5 minutes." We do not have a set time that school starts, so it's kind of just as we have a flow to the day, not a schedule. So I will turn on the music downstairs in our schoolroom, which is where I'm sitting. It's a mess right now because I'm in the throes of planning. But I turn that on, everybody rushes down, and we sing a worship song together. Now, I'll tell you right now, I am a horrible singer. I cannot carry a tune in a bucket. It is still a super neat way to just kind of start our day in a place of peace and just praising the Lord. And so you pick a song that works for you. If you're a secular homeschooler, find a way to incorporate maybe a folk song to start your day or something like that. So we do a worship song, and then we move into our other things. Now, this is going to vary every year a little bit, but it's kind of the main touchstones of morning time that most people do. Now, everyone makes it their own. Take it, do what you want for your family. But what a lot of people do is things like poetry and Shakespeare and Plutarch. I am not venturing into Plutarch. What did I say? Artist study, nature studies, poetry, did I already say that? Memory work, Anything that needs a place that kind of gets skipped over otherwise. Some people even add history here and science. I don't do that personally. I keep it fairly simple and it goes fairly quick. We also do our read aloud in this time, our fun read alouds. And I'm going to flip this around and just kind of show you my schedule for this school year and how that looks. So let me turn this around. Okay, this year I'm using, last year I used Pam Barnhill's loop schedule. This year I'm not doing a loop schedule. If you're not sure what a loop schedule is, Pam has a ton of information on that on her blog. And it's essentially you put stuff in an order of being done and you just kind of get through as much as you can, and the next day you pick up where you left off. So you're in a constant loop, so nothing gets pushed aside if you always miss like Tuesdays or something. This year I'm assigning days. It's just a little easier for me. Again, homeschooling is about making stuff work for you. I printed these off from Faith and Works. Oh, I put those in backwards. Faith and Works website. She's a homeschooling mama. And so I just printed this out, Morning Time Basket. I'm going to do a different one for each month because each month our poet and our composer and our artist and stuff will change. So that's how it works for us. Some people do an entire term of the same poet or artist, and some people do poetry for 2 months and then they move on to something completely different. So for us, I'm doing it each month is going to have something. And what I first did to start off my planning for this was I wrote down some of the resources I want to make sure to use. And these are just my little notes, some stuff that I want to make sure we do this year in our morning time and ideas. And so then I took that list and I kind of put it into where it's going to go. And so we do not school on Mondays. Mondays is our co-op day, and so I did not fill that in. Up here we have truth. This would be like our Bible, our worship, our prayer time. We're going to start with Amazing Grace. I know I just said I don't like hymns, but Amazing Grace is an exception, and we're doing the modern version by Chris Tomlin. For our Bible reading, we are going to be doing Matthew 1 on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we're going to be going through John MacArthur's Fundamentals of the Faith on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then down on our memory work. For memory, you know, everyone kind of decides for themselves what's important. Last year we did a ton of American history type memory work, and this year I'm going to start out with some more like spiritual memory. So we're going to do the books of the Bible. My kids mostly have this down, but we're going to start with that because there is a few things we don't have down solidly on that. And our memory verse, instead of doing a single verse like we typically do, we normally do a memory verse each week, and that changes. This year we're going to focus on some longer portions of scripture, and we're going to memorize the Sermon on the Mount. And then we're going to go review. So over here I have our tabs, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'm just going to basically go on a Tuesday over here, and we're going to see, okay, today we're going to review this portion of the Declaration of Independence and our 30 Days Past September poem. And so each day we're going to have a review of stuff we have learned in the past for memory work, just to kind of keep that fresh. And then we always have a fun read aloud during this time, and Little Men is our read aloud for September. I'm going to spin this without making you sick. And I put our read aloud choices, I have them planned out for the entire year, and just the little tabs, September, October, and so those are here. And so I know for September I just grab this out and I stick it in our read aloud basket. So Little Men. And basically I just read until I'm done reading. Chapter or so, maybe more, maybe less, depending on chapter length. For goodness, we have some vocab and logic and some language arts that I just throw in here. These are quick. These are not something you spend a lot of time on. This is like, you know, very, very quick. So vocabulary and logic, come down here. Oh, I didn't write that down. I'm still in the process of filling this all out. So our vocabulary and logic for this year, spin you again without making you sick. This is my morning time basket, by the way. This is stuff we're not using this month, but this is stuff we're using this month. So vocab, I just pick a word out of here, ask the kids if they know what it means, and go over the definition. We've been doing that since last year. And we are in the fallacy detective. We're almost, I don't think that's where we're actually at. I think we're about halfway through this from last year. And so I'll read one of those. And then that is on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then on Wednesday and Friday, we will do a lesson from our mother tongue orally out loud. And this is just kind of a quick English grammar thing. And this will take like 5 minutes or less, guys. So this isn't like long stuff. Okay, sorry, making you guys sick. And then for geography, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we will get out the history, Usborne History Geography Encyclopedia, and we will just read a page of that. And then Wednesdays and Fridays, we will fill in a blank map. We're going to start with the U.S. just as a refresher, and the U.S. Capital State Song. And then, hold on, hon, I'm doing a video. And then for beauty, we are doing on Tuesdays composer and artist, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then Wednesdays and Fridays is poetry and nature study. Okay, sorry, my son was needing to water the sheep and figure that out. Okay, so composer and artist. So I'm simply normally we have choose one composer. This year I'm just doing a Memoria Press, I think is what it is, music appreciation, and we're just going to go through that. Our artist for September is going to be Winslow Homer. And that simply, you look at the art, you kind of give some opinions on it, and then you move on. Our poet for the month of September is going to be Emily Dickinson, and I just have a book of her poetry. And then for our nature study, that is going to look a little bit different. My kids are not huge fans of drawing nature. So what we're going to be doing, I'm going to flip this around again. I apologize. I was not very prepared. I just knew I needed to get this done or I never would. Okay, so one of my favorite books of all time, The Country Diary of an Edwardian Lady, by Edith Holden. It's month by month. I actually have like 3 copies of this because I'm kind of obsessed. And so we'll just kind of read her entries if it coordinates with the day, and if not, we don't do it. And then the same thing with this Thoreau American Landscape. This is writings from Thoreau's journals, and again, if we have on, well, that's in the middle of summer for us, but if we have a date where he has a journal entry, we will read it. Pretty simple. And so that is what we are doing on Wednesdays. We will be doing that, and on Fridays we will be using the nature anatomy. I like these Julia Rothman ones, and we're just going to kind of look at it. If the kids want to sketch it, they will. If not, we'll just enjoy looking at it. And that is our nature. And I believe that's it. And then we end our morning time with prayer, where everyone can give prayer requests and stuff like that. And so if they have something specific they want to pray over, we do that at that point. I think I covered it all. So that's it. Like I said, everyone makes morning time their own, which is what you're supposed to do as a homeschooler. Take it and enjoy the freedom you have to make stuff fit your family and your needs. Never try to mimic exactly what someone else is doing, because it won't work. That is our morning time. It lasts maybe a half hour, 40 minutes at the most. Sometimes it's done in 15 or 20 minutes. So it's not a long process. It just kind of gives an anchor to the day of stuff that otherwise might not get done and might get shoved aside. Stuff like poetry and composer, artist study, stuff that kind of is like, you know, when you have math and science to get to, might get shoved aside. So that's what it looks like for us. I encourage you to look at how other people do morning time. Like I said, Pam Barnhill is probably the #1 resource on morning time. She gives all sorts of examples. She talks to all sorts of parents on her podcast that show how they do talk about how they do morning time. She has printables. She has lists of stuff to memorize. Some stuff we've memorized in the past, just so you guys get an idea. We did things like the Declaration of Independence, not the whole thing, just little portion. The preamble to the Constitution, the American presidents, the first 10 Bill of Rights, some little ditties, some little, like the classification system, the planets, that kind of stuff. Carol, oh gosh, where is it? Carol Barnier, I think is her name. She has a little CD, you can probably get it as MP3 these days, that has like memory work on it. Like they're called ditties, ditty bugs. I'll link that too. And that's a great resource if you're just totally drawing a blank as to what you want your children to memorize. Oh, I totally have not filled in my Shakespeare yet. We are doing Shakespeare in our morning time this year. And I'm using How to Teach Your Children Shakespeare by Ken Ludwig. And we are just going through what he plans out. We will be hitting Shakespeare in our history this year, so I'm going to expand on that during that portion. That will probably mostly get tagged in our history part of the day. Sorry, I'm like doing this video before I've even finished my plans. So yes, Shakespeare is in our morning time. So some people like Cindy Rollins, her kids, I don't think her kids memorize a lot of history stuff. I think they more memorize like Shakespeare and Plutarch and speeches and stuff like that. So you do you. That's how we do it, and thanks for watching.